Greetings, sunshines and sunnies. It is I, Queen J Lotus, Pimp Sunkiss, coming at y'all right quick, right fast, maybe, with a pick a card. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope beat. Step two, step two, step two, step two, step two. Pick it, baby girl. Yes, God. It's been a little minute since I've done a pick a card, but for this particular topic, I felt like it would be best for me to do it in pick a card style, being the fact that it can be so many specificities and differences and things of that nature when it comes to releasing your grasp and attachment to revenge, getting a better hold on your redemption, and harmonizing the karma of it all, and getting into a place of forgiveness. So, that is all of what this pick a card, this reading will be about. I have three groups here, and they are being represented by Rebel Oracle cards. So, what is above the main oracle cards here that you see? Rebel, you need a good fucking cry. I mean, rebel, you need a good fucking cry. Time to let go. And then there's a picture above with just the other sides of those cards. So, rebel, because fuck it. You need a good fucking cry. Get the ugly cry on. Let that shit go. Your soul will thank you. And then, time to let go. And the other side of that is move the fuck on. So, you tap into whichever oracle message resonates with you best, okay? So, rebel, because fuck it, that's group one. You need a good fucking cry, get the ugly cry on, that's group two. Time to let go, move the fuck on, that's group three. Now, you can also choose more than one group if that is what resonates with you. You can also go by the timestamps that I'm going to have in the comments. So if angel numbers are your thing, you may want to go by the timestamps. Otherwise, you can use the messages of the oracle cards. You can also go by the coloration of the cards. And again, you can choose more than one group if that is what resonates with you. And before we get into the specificities of the cards and groups and all that, I just want to give, kind of some background information on what has inspired this particular reading. This is coming out the backs of a channel message that I had posted on social media the other day. And it reads, sorry, not sorry, but revenge is overrated. It's natural to want revenge, but the reality is also one of the only reasons people obsess over revenge is because you are mad at yourself for not defending and or protecting yourself when you feel like you should have. Revenge is the dark counterpart, aka the blocker, to forgiveness. And both have less to do with the person who offended and or hurt you, and more to do with things that you are withholding from yourself and things you are holding against yourself. Not to mention, obsessing over revenge blocks your progress in your divine purpose and compromises your good karma, amongst potentially also compromising your family karma as well. So what to do instead? Stay tuned. Absolutely, stay tuned into this video. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the specificities of these groups. All right, group one. Here we have three cards presented. And the first card represents what is fueling your attachment and grasp to revenge. The second card represents what can be done or needs to be done to harmonize your frequency of karma and to find redemption from the situation and or people that you are wanting revenge against. The third card is what are you needing to actually forgive yourself for, which could then end up allowing you to find forgiveness amongst the situations and people so that you can free yourself from that weighted energy and really get in clear, focused, and liberated in your divine purpose. And before we get into all that, I'm going to elaborate a bit on the Rebel Oracle card. So the name of the deck is the Rebel Oracle. But also, y'all got the Rebel card. So this is coming up because y'all naturally have it in y'all to rebel, to fight, to defend and protect. Child, it's just a matter of finding the time and the place and balancing it all out, not getting caught up in the excessive energy of being so reactive and called to action. Some of y'all, okay, so the overall group I'm picking up comes from a long line of fighter spirits, whether you come from a long line of activists, soldiers, warriors, one way or another, and or, on the more informal front. Your folks love to fight. They here for a fight. They will knock down, drag out, furniture moving, honey. TTG, train to go. Run up, get done up. And some of y'all fall very naturally into that and lean very naturally into that. And others of you are overwhelmed by that energy. It's like everybody else has that energy and takes up all of that. And so you like, okay, just leave me out of it. how I get in it. So you handle things from a more non-confrontational, outright at times avoiding confrontation, and that puts you in a frequency of suppression until you just explode. And I'm hearing that for some of you in that category, you avoid confrontation to such a degree until the point that you explode, because you feel like that's your balance, that's your way of knowing that when you finally do explode, you're absolutely correct. Thing is, you can have every right and reason at any time to defend yourself. But if you're not cautious of the energy that you're putting out, you end up just creating more bad karma for yourself, because karma in the universe doesn't really care or even decipher or perceive who started it like time out. It just knows the energy that was put out. It has to then return to sender one way or another at one point or another. And there are some of y'all that just remain non-confrontational. You don't want to ever really respond or even really care, show that you care, allow yourself to care, because you're just like very determined to stay out of the conflict. You don't really want to be bothered. But the issue with that is there's a time and a place for conflict and confrontation. And sometimes in order to get the peace that you want, you have to engage in confrontation. And what is blocking the peace has to be confronted and battled out in order to get to the peace. And that segues us perfectly into what is fueling y'all's grasp on revenge, outside of what I've already named, of course. But the card that we have here is from the Past Life Oracle, and the card is Greco-Roman. So this is elaborating further to say that y'all come from a long line of fighters one way or another, and in certain past lives that you've had, you likely were a warrior, a knight of some sort. And Spirit is trying to get y'all to a place of, again, balancing that out, but also not being the knight and tapping into your royal energy. Because knights, warriors, soldiers, they exude a lot of power and force, but they still have to answer to kings and queens. They have to be called to action. They are often out of control of their own mind, body, and soul, because they have to be on call based on other people's thoughts, opinions, and actions. So it's time to evolve. And what's also being said here is that the lot of you coming from this long line of warriors and fighter spirits and all of that, the person or people that you have this conflict with or this trauma with, whoever it is that you are wanting revenge on or wanting them to receive their bad karma, it's likely somebody that one way or another, whether you know it or not, other members of your family, whether it's grandparents, great-grands, great-great-great-great-grand, it go all the way back, or you got distant cousins that got issues with they distant cousins, shit like that. It seems to be, at least for a good bit of y'all, a long line of family feuding one way or another, again, whether you know it or not. And it's like somebody has to put the sword down, somebody has to stop the madness. And again, somebody has to evolve so that the energy can evolve, and therefore the energy that is being put out can evolve, and the karmic cycle can evolve. Because if everybody is just throwing out negative, bad, retaliative energy, spiteful energy, it just continues the cycle of spite and battles. So there needs to be more learned concerning what the terms rebel mean, what the term fight means, defense, all of that, what those things mean, and the different options you have in engaging in them, and when to engage and when to disengage. I'm also hearing that for some of you, there's a particular situation where you were confronted or traumatized, had some sort of near-death experience, if you will, with somebody or some people, and you didn't react how you would usually react. You weren't the fighter that you are usually are, and that's been fucking with you, because you feeling like, damn, I didn't stand up for myself. Like, what's wrong with me? Why did I fail myself in that moment? And Spirit is coming through to clarify and reroute your thinking, and that's why you all are having to learn the depths of what all these different words mean and the different options that you have in fighting for yourself and defending yourself and all that, because there's a need to recognize that the best warriors and those that live on to tell the story, they do so because they play the long game. They know their options, and they knew their options in defending themselves and protecting themselves. And that takes separating yourself from your ego. All those other times when you fight, and a lot of times when people do fight, it's like, are you doing it to protect yourself and your being as a whole? Or are you doing it to protect and defend your ego? Because doing things to protect and defend your ego will get you killed quick. And not only will you not survive and thrive to tell the story, but you won't survive and thrive to win the war and not just the battle. So that spirit is saying that y'all have been thinking small, thinking like basic soldiers. And y'all need to be thinking like royalty. Y'all need to be thinking like divine beings and not just fixated on trying to win a battle, but actually winning the war. Because I'm also hearing that a large bit of this is really beyond you. And it's literally bringing the song up. The battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. The battle is not yours, it's your divine realm. Because these fights and these battles, this karmic energy has been building up for a long time. And for a lot of you, God sent this person or these people specifically to trespass on you because their lineage has been building up bad karma for themselves for a long time. And people that have engaged with them have given so much of their power away and also compromised their own karma so much so that it continues to just uplift the trespassers because they have been through so much hell that they have become hell themselves and they're thriving on that energy. And it's gonna take light to wipe that shit out. And you know how they say God don't play about their warriors and about their children? It's this type situation going on because they sent them to you to trespass on you because that was such a compromisation of their own karma that the quote unquote punishment that is meant for them will be something that lifts them so high just to drop them so low and hard. And it's like the sooner y'all embrace light to liberate yourselves, the sooner all of their darkness will be sent back to them. It's like a lot of y'all have been holding on to the darkness of your trespassers. And it's like some of y'all have trespassers that have done energy swap rituals on y'all, destiny swap type rituals on y'all, whether mindfully or mindlessly. And it's not always somebody burning a bay leaf on you or chopping up a chicken or no shit like that. It's not always stereotypical witchy shit. It can be through mindless sex magic where they're saying certain things and doing certain things through sex or just in their interactions with you. Abuse can also be forms of destiny swap rituals because their intent behind the abuse is to make you feel like they do and siphon off of your good energy. They're hating on your divinity. So they want to impress imposter syndrome on you, villainize you, and also victimize you at the same time to cause confusion. And they get validation from that through a sense of power, egotistical driven power that they have siphoned off of you. And now you're worried about trying to control their destiny the way that they once were about you and completely distracted from your own greatness and what you should be doing for you while they are getting big off of your energy in every way. And that's the perfect time to jump into what needs to be done to harmonize this karmic frequency so that you all can establish inner redemption for yourselves. And we have the Ace of Swords here. So that immediately brings up, put the sword down. So half of you all are having to learn when to surrender and understand that this is a time to surrender. And that definitely goes back to those people who felt like they didn't fight hard enough for themselves in the moment of whatever the traumatic near-death situation is. It's a time and a place to surrender. So that's God saying that you did the right thing. Again, you want to win the war, not just the battle. So again, half of y'all are having to recognize that it's a time to surrender. It's a time to put the sword down. But that doesn't mean completely give up. And that's why a lot of you are having to expand your horizons on the different options that you have in fighting for yourself and defending yourself. Some of you are literally having to defend yourself through words, through exposing certain people. You've been keeping secrets on people. You've been suppressing your experience of certain people because of some type of false teaching that you've been taught. It's like, and that's a common thing, especially in the Black community. It's like, it's the no snitching policy type shit. So there's a lot of stigma and negative energy surrounding exposing people, snitching on people, this, that, and the third. And it could be something like, it's so normalized that it could be something that is so mindless to the point that you don't even realize that you're participating in your own rage just brewing and this fixation on revenge, and you want people to get what they deserve, but you don't realize that you're playing a major role in them not getting what they quote unquote deserve because you're keeping secrets for them. You're keeping secrets for them. You're lying for them. And that is exactly what is withholding them from receiving their karma. And overall, group one, y'all are having to go through a series of regimens and rituals to cleanse your aura, mind, body, and soul. So what is going to help y'all and help liberate y'all from this energy, this cycle, and redirect y'all back to your divine purpose is to Commit to a self-care regimen highly. But also some of y'all are needing cord breaking rituals. Some of y'all are needing aura cleansing and defensive rituals. Not revenge rituals, but defense rituals. So tap in with your fellow spiritual worker. Tap in with your prayer warriors to generate an abundance of healing and evolving energy around you, because it will take light to drown out this form of darkness. Some of you are being called to also file civil suits and or even press criminal charges against someone. So it's calling y'all to do a lot of research, and specifically those of you that are being called to press charges, take it to court, all of that. Y'all are being called to do research specifically as it concerns what your options are now. And of course, that's easier said than done because there's a lot of emotional things that go into it. But a part of the light is truth. And so you're being called to honor your truth and stand in it, okay? And commit to these other forms of protecting yourself, protecting other people, and defending yourself, and helping other people defend themselves. And now we move into the last card, which is what are y'all actually needing to forgive yourselves for? And for that, we have the Six of Wands. And that, again, is re-emphasizing the what goes up must come down element. So some of you are needing to forgive yourselves for allowing yourselves to be pulled off of your pedestal, allowing yourselves to be pulled to a position that is so low that some way that you reacted or that you want to react is in such a low place. Some of you really feel like you've been pulled out of your face, and you're feeling some sort of shame for that. In some ways that you are punishing yourselves for that, and you're needing to forgive yourself for operating in what you feel like is lower than you. Because again, there's a time and a place for that, and there's still wisdom to be gotten from that. So you don't need to beat yourself up for that. Free yourself. Take the shackles off your feet so you can dance. And that's what a lot of you are needing to do too, as far as like the physical activity that's needed to purge toxic energy from your body and heal your body from the trauma and liberate yourself and all of that, and release your grasp on anger and all of that. You're needing to dance that out. You're needing to also do physical activity like work out and do yoga and Pilates and pole work. Pole work, which can be twirling a pole or twirling around a pole. So yeah, you're needing to like dispel that energy from your mind, body, and soul through physical activity such as dancing and working out, however you choose to go about it, and do it intentionally, speaking high vibrational affirmations over yourself and over your life and over your healing and liberating process in the process. Others of you, you've come into a realization of how you operated in a herd mentality one way or another. And for others of you, that's hidden in the way where you recognize that you've allowed other people's thoughts, opinions, and actions to overly influence you. And you're needing to forgive yourself for that so that you can really open up to taking back control over yourself, over your life, and over your own autonomy. And so I'm hearing isolation. So some of you are needing to forgive yourself for isolating yourself, for being overly hyper independent to a point where you stunted yourself from asking for help. And in certain ways, you're stunting yourself from drawing in parts of your soul family, and also drawing in and embracing people that are available and willing to help you defend yourself in a circumstance. And I feel like that's tied to specific people who are having to expose other people and having to press charges and stuff like that. There's a need for you to forgive yourself for that, and you're going to have to constantly exercise forgiveness towards yourself for that, because it's a social conditioning, and basically having to get clear and honor your own self and your own emotions and your own protection beyond what other people think and feel. So having to rebel what has been the norm for so long, rebel that mindset that's telling you that you're a snitch, and that snitches get stitches and all of it. So forgiving yourself and liberating yourself onto a path and a functionality where you are protecting yourself through telling your story and telling the truth. Forgive yourself for telling the truth, and forgive yourself for not allowing yourself to embrace and be embraced by other people who will carry on your truth and help validate your truth as well. The number 6 often has a lot to do with childhood things as well. So some of you are having to forgive yourself for being a child and being defenseless in certain ways as a child, being ignorant in certain ways as a child, being influenced and controlled in certain ways as a child. There was literally not much that you could do as a child in certain situations, and you're having to forgive yourself for not being able to operate fully in your power. And recognize that is not your fault. You were a child. So the fault is really to be passed, again, that destiny swap shit. The fault is really to be passed on to the adults that failed you and did not protect you, therefore did not give you good examples or a plethora of examples on how to protect yourself, or even pass down the mindset to you that you are worthy and valuable of protecting and defending. And I have milked this cow dry for this group. If you would like an elaboration on the reading and or to get specificity on what messages are specifically meant for you and just get more clarity on this reading and where you fall in it, definitely hit me up. You can hit me in the comments. You can hit me up on my social media, whatever, what have you. Hit me up and definitely tap in for your personal reading on this particular reading to get more clarity, if you will. And again, with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I'm thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you all in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah. Greetings, group 2. We got 3 cards here, each one representing the answer to a different question. So the first card is representing the question as to what is fueling your attachment to revenge. The second card representing what needs to be done and can be done to help you find inner redemption from the traumatic and offensive situations that led to your need to feel retaliatory and things of that nature. And what needs to and can be done to harmonize the karmic frequency, balance the scales, get you what you deserve in all aspects, and send back all that other stuff that was never meant for you for real in the first place. At least was never meant for you to keep and claim as your own type shit, okay? And then the third card representing the question, what are you actually needing to forgive when it concerns yourself? What are you actually needing to forgive yourself for in efforts to release yourself and be released unto more clarity on your bigger divine purpose throughout this life? And without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into, but we're gonna start with a little bit of elaboration on y'all's Rebel Oracle message, which will be the card that led you out here in the first place. And y'all's Rebel Oracle message is, you need a good fucking cry. And the flip side of that card says, get the ugly cry on, let that shit go. Your soul will thank you. Now, honey, I believe that is simply stated, quite simply stated, and also gives me an energy of people who avoid and suppress their emotions, specifically those associated with sadness, and also even those associated with happiness in certain ways, kindness in certain ways as well. And that's in no way to say that you're not kind or happy in any way. It's just a result of suppression when it comes to certain things. So we often think that, oh, if we cry, we're weak. If we allow ourselves to feel and express sadness or happiness or anything that is not associated with hard, don't fuck with me type energy. It's emotions that are often associated with weakness and naivete. So that brings up to me that some people in this group are dealing with some traumatic experiences surrounding being preyed on and being bullied, being targeted by other people for bullshit. Like literally, it seems that a lot of people have just wanted to use you as a punching bag of sorts. Take your kindness for weakness. Take your tears for opportunities to take advantage of you and lead you astray. Because this is not even like heavy confrontational energy. It gives more so people haven't had a lot of experiences with sociopaths. And sociopaths often feed on other people's emotions and their perception of things. And they manipulate that. And it can make the receiver of that, the victims of that, the survivors of that, feel like the safe place is to not indulge in emotion, or at least certain emotions at all, because you don't want to give anybody anything that they could possibly latch onto to have control over you and lead you to hungry wolves type shit. It's like a lot of y'all know what it's like to be under someone else's mind control or emotional control one way or another, and you don't ever want to go back to that place. Some of y'all may still be in cycles of that, and you are desperately trying to find your way out, but also looped up in a cycle of stagnated rage, wanting to protect and defend yourself, but not sure how anymore, because probably you've tried so many different things to shake yourself of the turmoil and free yourself from the situation that you feel like you're running out of options. And this is Spirit saying that one of the main things that is blocking your progress and blocking you from being able to move forward and free yourself from the situation, from the energy and all of that, is you need to cry. You need to have a good fucking intensive cry where you are just releasing your control over your emotions, but at the same time mindfully extending love to yourself in the process and unconditional to what you've been taught about crying. So as I said, for instance, if you associate crying with weakness, you will be in a state of crying and extending love to yourself despite the fact that you feel weak for it. And that will open you up so greatly to a new sense of self-love and also a new sense of compassion and forgiveness for other people unconditionally. And Spirit is wanting to stress that just because you have compassion for other people or you have forgiveness for other people, it doesn't mean that you are in the functionality of excusing their behavior at all, or that you have to interact with them at all, or give them any ounce of your power or any ounce of anything at all. You just simply acknowledge that you understand what has led them to be in the mindset and functionality that they're in. And at the same time, you can be your whole self and acknowledge your whole truth of the situation, which is that they are to be held accountable for a number of things. And that despite the fact that they may have good and bad in them, they chose bad. And if they consistently choose the bad in them to lead with and function in and thrive out of, that is a reflection of them and not you. So you needed to give yourself more credit for the strength that you have and the strength that has been brought to you as a result of your response in higher wisdom to certain dark situations that you've been through. And we're going to jump into the specificities of these cards. So for the first card, we have Scribes or Writer. And this is answering the question concerning what is playing a part in your attachment to revenge. And this card coming out and being in reverse, it's reaffirming and confirming that functionality of suppression. And this is given that a lot of you more than likely suppress your experience of certain people altogether. For some of you, this is somebody that you work with one way or another, or there's some sort of circumstance and connects, mutual friends, mutual settings, mutual lifestyle of some sort that causes you to have to come in contact with these offenders on a somewhat regular basis. And that's causing you to consistently function in a physical, active muscle memory of protecting them and sacrificing yourself. So you're withholding a lot of information. You're not telling people. It's like some of y'all are literally watching people on a regular basis manipulate the masses, and y'all just essentially keep their secret for them and just be like, oh, I could blow your fucking life up, da da da. And there's a need to figure out why you find it more important to protect their image and their ego beyond your own well-being and the well-being of what could be a whole lot of other people. And in all of that, a lot of you likely have a divine purpose attached to monetizing your life story one way or another. So they could be writing books, writing series, writing movies, writing plays, things of that nature, doing podcasts, storytime podcasts, and just coming up with a multitude of different things that allow your story to be told in efforts to help other people and be a blueprint for other people trying to escape traumatic, drastic, toxic situations. And not only escaping it and getting out of it, but also dealing with it, coping with it, and healing through it after the fact. And not just talking about the high points, but also talking about the low points. The points where you are ugly crying your ass off. The points where it is really, really hard not to go back to the old person that you used to be and handling things that the way that you used to handle them, and having ugly cries over that because you really want to smack that bitch, but you're trying to change your life. So you can't change your life and smack that bitch all at the same time because that's just bringing the same old energy and shit back into new circumstances that you're trying to create for yourself. So a lot of y'all have really been, it seems, committed to a healing process of some sort, really trying to get out of the energy and the mindset of worrying about if the people who harmed you are going to get what they deserve. You really just want to get to your sense of happiness and not want to think too much and worry about any of that. But your suppression is getting in the way. And this, like, having a mindset where crying and telling your story and engaging in certain emotions is weak. And or people going to say, oh, you doing too much. You've been a drama queen and you've been a drama king, da da da. Worrying about people's responses to you standing up for yourself, because a lot of you have probably been surrounded by a lot of people that make you wrong for just telling your truth and just standing up for yourself. So it's going against this little vestigial being inside of you that's been created by predators to shame you out of speaking up for yourself and functioning in your divine purpose, because it's like you're just still operating in a muscle memory of being encouraged and beat down to a point of just not defending yourself, where people are compromising you, giving yourself permission to do whatever you need to do to stand up for yourself. So that's giving y'all have been surrounded by gaslighters. A lot of you have been surrounded by gaslighters for a lot of your life. And so even if you do stand up for yourself, you end up carrying a lot of guilt with you as a result, because you got the voices of those gaslighters just haunting you constantly. And that's going to segue us perfectly into y'all's second card. What needs to be done and can be done for y'all to find inner redemption from this situation and these situations and harmonize the karmic frequency so you get what you deserve, and everything else that is not yours to be claimed is dispersed and dispensed back to those who it belongs to. And the card y'all have here is the Queen of Swords, and it came out sideways. So to kick it off, some of you have been fixated on revenge. And I know we just passed that group, but this is the way that the message is coming up. You're fixated on revenge because you feel like something was taken from you. You feel like a lot of things that you were passionate about, your confidence, and just a multitude of things have been taken from you. And Spirit is saying that everything that you need, you still have. And some of those things that you feel like were taken from you were either not yours and or they haven't gone anywhere. You still have them. You just have to redirect your focus and your energy into relocating what you did with them, where you put them to protect yourself from somebody else. And this is like saying you've been shrinking yourself. So it's a certain level of intelligence for some of you that you don't display to people, or around some people at least, because you had a multitude of situations where, and for some of you this is literally like abusive relationship type shit, but whenever you showed your intelligence, you ended up getting into a fight one way or another. People end up want to fight you. Or whenever you show your talent, it make people want to fight you. That's the memory. That's the muscle memory and the mental memory that you've been operating in. And so it's not that these people took your talent from you or took your intelligence from you. You hid it. And it started off as you hiding it from them to you hiding it from yourself, so that you don't even feel tempted to engage in that and allow it to get you in any shit. And this is very subconscious, so it's something that, you know, may have to become more clear through personal epiphanies in being committed to doing the work and going through the process of gaining a better understanding of it all. Also, another side of this is, for some of you, there are some situations that are going to come up soon or have already come up in the most recent times. Take what resonates. And those situations are meant for you to reevaluate points where you need to take accountability and apologize for doing too much, overreacting for something, saying some shit that you didn't have to say, doing something that you didn't really have to do. It's coming up to say that somebody got some energy that they didn't deserve, and that's coming from that place of suppression. You suppressing things as a result of your experience from a certain person or a certain group of other people, and because you suppressed it, it ends up being spilled over onto some other random people type shit that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. And so even if you feeling a way is validated towards whoever else, you might have still had such a big reaction that was also filled with things that somebody else deserved. And somewhere in your mind, you like, fuck it, I've been holding this in. You want to act like you want it, so you about to get it all. You gonna get yours and theirs and then some, you know? And one way or another, that's compromised your karma in a certain way. And you're blocking your karmic frequency by being on the borderline, if you will, of becoming what you despise, where you justify wrongdoing that you do because you feel like you might as well, because other people have done you wrong, being a hurt person that hurts people. And that's not going to service you. Definitely not in the way that you may think. So overall, y'all are needing to indulge in things that feed your sense of confidence and gain a better understanding of what authentic confidence is. Because some of y'all, Spirit is giving you a lot of warning signs that you're on the brink of becoming what you despise, and like demonizing people who have done you wrong, and people who have abused you so much so that it blinds you to certain learned behavior that you're holding on to and operating in. And you don't want to be in a position where you feel like you could never be an abuser. You could never be like those people who hurt you and others. But it's like y'all are tinkering in a mindset that's going to lead you into becoming exactly what you never thought you could be. And a lot of you are being encouraged to seek therapy to help you navigate through all of these feelings and emotions, because it seems like for a lot of y'all, it's been so long, and it's been so long since you really indulged in certain emotions. And for a lot of you, you didn't come from a family that allowed you to express and process your emotions at all, and had so many things to compromise the process of processing your emotions. And so you're needing professional help to help you navigate through those things. Somebody that can consistently stay with you in and out, in and out, in and out of time as you navigate as you navigate through your healing process and your redirection process. And overall, this is to lead all of you back to a specific talent, indulging in a specific talent that y'all have, and monetizing it and accumulating clientele and business partners to a point where when you do your consultations and interactions and services for people and with people, you have so much to talk about in an inspiring form of way that allows them to help you and support you and everything that you stand for and the people that you stand for in more ways than what you presented initially. And that's gearing towards definitely being the fact that it came up that a lot of you are likely meant to be authors, playwrights, film writers, series writers, things of that nature. And I'm also picking up music. You can also write lyrics and all of that. You not only setting yourself free through allowing yourself to tell your truth and being a blueprint for other people to free themselves, but also playing a part. And y'all probably, and it's been like, I've been hearing this the whole time I've been doing the reading, but I didn't want to just say it until I knew for sure that it was meant to be said. A lot of y'all probably need to also watch and or listen to Group 1, because there were some people that showed up through Group 1 where you're pining over someone or some people getting their karma, not realizing that you are the karma. Not in a way where you burn their house down or, you know what I'm saying, commit a bunch of heinous acts or wish death on them or anything of that nature, but simply telling your story and exposing them and verbally holding them accountable and perhaps even artistically holding them accountable. Also keep in mind that art is also very spiritual. Yeah. So that's what's coming up here. That some of y'all have been pining waiting for whoever to get their karma, not realizing that they ain't got it shit because you are the karma. You have to expose them. And I know that's easier said than done. And that's more than likely also why the professional help thing is coming up and the need for y'all to unconditionally love yourself and coach yourself through honoring and indulging in your emotions and expressing them. Because when you go about exposing people and telling your story about people one way or another, you gonna need people around you to vouch for you, to validate for you, and to be a vessel of reassurance for you. And you gotta be solid in your validation of self first for you to really be embraced and embrace the people that God has set up to help you through those things. So y'all are having to strip yourselves from the shame of asking for help and being vulnerable, letting people know that you're not perfect, letting people know that it's some things that you struggle through and been struggling through, for certain people to know exactly what it is that you need and say, hey, I got that, I can help you with that, and push it along. Because again, sitting waiting for you to get your good karma and waiting for other people to get their bad karma, and you not opening yourself up and you not allowing yourself to be vulnerable is literally what's playing the role in it. And or you becoming what you despise and compromising your own karma and fueling their toxic energy that they're thriving off of by becoming what you despise and operating on that same frequency as dark individuals. Yeah, that'll lead you into some terrible places. But we're gonna go ahead and hop into the third card, which is what are you needing to forgive yourself for in order to open you up back onto your divine purpose and help free you of some weight that you've been carrying around and basically help establish the inner peace and inner redemption with you. So y'all have the 10 of Cups that is sideways, and it's sideways because y'all have some crossroad moments to deal with, whereas it's meant for you to do some specific things, but you still have free will. And it's like you either gonna choose to continue the cycles and the toxic cycles and leave it for your children to clean up and, you know, other people type shit, or you gonna go ahead and get it over with and kick off the rebirth of everything that needs to be rebirthed, including yourself. And even in this, you know, lifetime, you get in the blessings and everything. So like I said about people becoming what they despise and people suppressing things, it's coming up honestly that a lot of y'all feel like y'all have been blamed for so much and therefore blame yourselves for so much that you're really having to gain a real deep understanding of forgiveness, and therefore forgive yourself for not having a good concept on what forgiveness is. And this is because for a lot of y'all, nobody has shown y'all forgiveness. And specifically, like, y'all probably have been shown forgiveness, but you don't know how to recognize it because either your parents or, you know, the village that you had when you were a child, your guardians, whatever, what have you, your adult village when you were a child did not extend forgiveness to you. They didn't extend compassion to you. So you don't have a foundation of what that is to really go by to recognize it and therefore exercise it. So this is somewhere where y'all are having to reparent yourselves. Y'all are having to forgive yourselves for being ignorant in this particular neck of the woods overall. And this is Spirit also letting y'all know that y'all have some good things on the horizon. Y'all have some blessings that are waiting to come and that are trying to come in, and also that are already all around you. But y'all are having to step into a certain type of power, and that is requiring a whole lot of shadow work and research and humbling and gaining confidence. Just a whole lot of that you're having to do at once. And some of y'all probably feel rushed to do it because you're like, damn, it's been so long, I don't want to be like 50, 60 still having to learn the same lessons and all this other stuff. And again, Spirit is wanting y'all to really be graceful with yourselves. Y'all are having to exercise more grace and forgiveness with yourselves, like, and just learning specifically what that is. That's why I'm really not able to say. I know y'all probably, some of y'all are probably like, but that's not like what I'm supposed to say. No. Y'all are literally having to forgive yourselves for ignorance. And I know that can be a very stigmatized word, but it literally just means not knowing, uninformed. And Spirit is taking a weight off of y'all, and by letting y'all know and validating that it's kind of not y'all fault. Like, the ignorance surrounding forgiveness and compassion and what that is and how to exercise it, it's not y'all fault. Yet the adults that were in your life when y'all were kids should have taught y'all it. But when it comes to taking control back over your own life and being confident, and if that's what you really want, all the while recognizing that a lot of it is not your fault, still taking accountability going forward, and also celebrating yourself for not being as bad as you could have been and not being as bad as you think you are, throughout the process. Because if you've been operating ignorantly all this time and fragmentedly, and you still doing a lot better than a lot of people you know that have had your same experience or better or worse, and in a lot of ways you're doing better, you didn't react, you know what I'm saying, in the depths of darkness of ways that you could have reacted and all of that, you a lot better than what your circumstances have provided, you know. So it's a need to give yourself a pat on the back for that and credit for that and acknowledgement that you got good in you and you can continue to choose that good and thrive off of it and multiply it and pour into those parts of yourself to get towards your divine purpose and pouring into the people that deserve it. But it's like, it's also gonna take for you to put your pride to the side. You know, you're gonna have to make a decision to put your pride to the side and a lot of things that you've been taught to the side in order to get there. Because again, this is sideways because y'all have some crossroads moments that are coming up for you to choose between the light and the dark, essentially. And it's gonna take will to solidify your own fate. So you're needing to take control, accountability, power over your own fate and decide who and how you want to be and what type of energy you really want to put out into the world. And ask yourself, do you want to join them just because you feel like you can't beat them? Or do you want to operate in your actual power, knowing that you are a badass and sent here to flip and shake the motherfucking table? And thrive off of that and do your thing and stretch your stuff like you mean it. Free your mind. It's not enough just to dream it. Come on, come on, come on. And it's also coming through too. I don't know why spirit chose to spit out y'all's messages like this, but it's also coming through too that a coping mechanism for some of y'all and like a divine mechanism, if you will, artistic mechanism for you all to indulge in is some of the dark scenarios of punishment that you visualize that you want your trespassers to go through. The punishments you feel like they deserve. You are meant to write fantasy, drama, and horror movies surrounding those things. That is so cool, y'all. So yeah, some of y'all are meant to use your dark fantasies of revenge as creative work, not actually send that energy back to the person or act it out yourself, but just like purge those thoughts and acknowledge those thoughts and emotions by way of creativity, creatively writing about it. And it's gonna take for y'all to cleanse your aura and make a keen decision between leaning more into your light and darkness and accepting yourself despite both, you know, because duality is a time and a place for everything. But which one are you gonna choose more? One is gonna service you a lot more than the other. Okay, so yeah, that's another reason why it's meant for y'all to gain some control and a sense of authority over your own choices and response and who you gonna be and what you gonna say and how you gonna react to things, because you don't want to get lost in the sauce between what you feel and what's real. And it's a lot of cautionary stories that I'm picking up that a lot of you should be looking into as it concerns certain celebrities whose stories are being told right now and who are going through a lot of turmoil right now. People being exposed and also people doing the exposing, things of that nature. That just came up too. Spirit is saying that y'all need to be looking into that because, again, there's a lot of creative energy here. And when you are a creative person, it is easy to get lost in the sauce between your creative persona and who you are and who you really want to be in the real everyday life. And so specifically that it did come up that certain people are meant to write horror movies and horror stories, Southern Gothic type works. It's going to be necessary that you have a separation between your creative works and your real life, because you don't want to end up compromising everything that you build for yourself and the inspiration that you give to other people by becoming what you despise. And I believe I've milked this cow dry. And if you need a one clarity on this reading, what messages are specifically for you to go a bit more in depth on certain things that you need and can do and all of that, just any type of clarity and elaboration on this reading for your personal self, feel free to hit me up, whether it be in the comments or through my various social medias, which I will have on the screen. And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry. And I'm thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you feel synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you'll be one of the first to be back through these Queen Quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless that comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah. Group 3, greetings. We have 3 cards here representing 3 questions. So the first card in question is, what is fueling your attachment to revenge? The second card in question is geared towards what can and needs to be done in order to find inner redemption and harmonize your karmic frequency. So get what you deserve and what it belongs to everybody else, and, you know, their own karma be sent back to them, okay? And then the third card in question being, what are you actually needing to forgive yourself for in order to open up yourself and redirect yourself back to seeing your divine purpose clearly and therefore stepping back into it and functioning in it to your fullest potential. And before we get into the elaboration of those cards, I'm going to elaborate on the card that led y'all here, which is from the Rebel Oracle deck. And the message that y'all got is time to let go. Move the fuck on. Phew, so it seems as though, I'm not gonna lie, this is coming up. Some people that were in group one ended up watching all the way through, or will end up watching all the way through, just for like more clarity and everything. And so it's coming up certain messages, repeating themselves in certain ways for a particular group of people surrounding you, just really holding yourself back from your own blessings, literally blocking your own blessings by trying to control someone else's destiny and not realizing that that's exactly what was done to you and what leads you into being a victim and what is borderline leading you into being a villain. For others of you, the energy is correlating on that stuck energy. So you may not even so much so be really attached to revenge. You just know that somewhere in you, the human part of you does have some feelings associated with revenge, and you're really just looking for clarity on how to at least get yourself out of these stagnants and delays that have been going on. Feeling stuck, not feeling motivated, not being able to see yourself clearly, just feeling totally lost. And for those of you in that category, that's literally what is bringing up these realizations about you potentially having some feelings that are attached to revenge, where you're feeling like, damn, I was so certain of myself at one point. I was so confident in myself at one point. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, how I wanted to do it. I knew exactly what I stood for, and now I'm just feeling at a loss. So I keep doing this and that to try to be better, get better, and heal and put myself in better circumstances and make a better life for myself. But it seems like no matter what I've been doing, it just keeps coming up, delay. And you probably keep hearing stuff that say, you got blessings coming. But you have yet to see what those things are. It's like it's just always something that's coming up and blocking you. And it seems like a lot of you have been trying to avoid the frequency of revenge. You've been trying to avoid having vengeful thoughts. But the more you feel lost and like you are just turning your wheels to no avail, the more certain feelings are coming up, and you like, bro, this is pissing me off, because I wouldn't even fucking feel like this or be in this situation at all if it wasn't for this trauma, these people that traumatized me. Like, for a while you tried to avoid having that mindset, but now it's coming up because you keep feeling like I said, you keep feeling like you're trying everything and it's getting you nowhere. And it's crazy, but it may sound crazy. I'll put it like that. It may sound crazy, but what has y'all attached to revenge is not acknowledging the human aspect of wanting revenge. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that you have to acknowledge in yourself. To be honest about who you are. It's natural to want to get your lick back. It's human nature to be like, oh my gosh, these motherfuckers got over on me. They need to pay what they owe. It's natural to feel that way. It's human nature to feel that way. So y'all are needing to give yourselves permission to be human and not always try to be perfectly divine. It's great to make a conscious effort to not always be ego driven and doing everything out of ego and superficial things and, just basic mentality, functioning in an evolved state. But you are still human. So there is a time and a place for you to have human feelings and human reactions to things. I keep hearing the Virgin Mary. Like, some people feel like they have to operate in this totally innocent Virgin Mary type of functionality one way or another, And that's what has y'all spinning on an attachment to revenge, because you're not acknowledging that human side of yourself that has those feelings, and that is blocking your intuition. You have to have awareness of your ego in order to have clarity on your intuition. So this is about balance. Because yes, in order to function keenly and divinely in your intuition, your ego has to be kind of set to the side, pushed to the back seat, and not be the driver, right? But you still need your ego, because your ego does help protect you from certain things and help you protect yourself from certain things. It's a time and a place. And the more clarity you have on your shadow self, your egotistical self, the more clarity you'll have about your higher self and your intuition and what messages are coming through for your highest good. So it seems as though y'all have been neglecting your shadow self, and that's putting you on a fragmented sense of self-love, because a big thing about self-love is loving yourself unconditionally. And it seemed like that message is also coming up for the people who decided to watch all the way through from group one. Some elaboratory and claritative messages about like raising your vibration, cleansing your aura through that self-love, unconditional self-love, and your need to acknowledge value in your flaws and your shadow selves. because your flaws serve a great purpose also. Your flaws contribute to your beauty and your purpose also. You just don't need to lead with your shadow self. You don't need to lead with your lower self and your flaws and all of that. You don't need to lead with your ego or be driven by it, but you still need those things, and those things still help you and can help you one way or another. And the more you get better at bestowing unconditional love to your shadow self, the more your shadow self will effortlessly help you at the time and places that is meant to help you. Such as you won't have so much worry surrounding, oh my gosh, is this and that gonna make me pop off? Oh my gosh, is this gonna make me snap? Or, whatever have you, being influenced by external forces, knowing exactly the time and the place when it's divinely designed for you to have a reaction or no reaction, or to be active, or to cut somebody out, or to just let it ride. You know what I'm saying? Have better intuitive knowing on the time and the place for your shadow self in particular, but also your higher self, and everything that constructs the beauty and the being of who you are. So just to wrap up on that card, it is the high priestess or priestess, the high priest or priestess, and it's in reverse because y'all are needing to give y'all shadow self some credit and some energy and some love. Don't try to be perfect Patty. Release that weight up off of yourself to always try to look like or be like the Virgin Mary type shit. Your shadow self need love too, and it's here to help you. So you don't need to demonize it and villainize it and suppress it. So you just need to get clarity on the time and the place. And that segues us perfectly to the second card, which is all about what can be done and needs to be done to find inner redemption and to harmonize your karmic frequency. And it is the world in reverse. All of these cards are in reverse too, so that's wild. And that being said, it's like y'all hold yourselves back. It's giving a whole lot of y'all are y'all's own worst enemy, and this has to do with the way that you battle yourself by way of demonizing your shadow self. And it's either like, for some of you, it's demonizing, for a lot of you actually, it's demonizing your shadow self. And then for others of you, it is demonizing your higher self, where you feel like your higher self don't come through for you the way that it should. And that can be you feeling like you've been a good person to no avail. You try so many other things to no avail. You try so hard to be good to no avail, and you feeling like it's getting you nowhere. So you may demonize your higher self in that manner. And so there's a need to integrate, because this is a lot of overly separating your different identities to a point where, like I said, you literally end up being in a constant state of battle with yourself. And so certain people that you've had traumatic experiences with or at the hands of, they are mirroring yourself. They're mirroring your shadow self. And in some way, for some of you at least, you've tried to show your shadow self love vicariously through those wrong people that you gave your love to. Those wrong people that ended up traumatizing you as a result of choosing to be ego-driven and choosing to lead with their darkness. And with that, there's a lot of social conditioning that's playing into the part of this. For some of you, it could be coming from religious teachings. And for others of you, it could be coming from just the conditions of society as a whole, where a lot of times we're taught that things have to be one or the other. It's either good or evil. So you might be stuck in this functionality of feeling like you got to choose between either your good self or your lower self. And so your higher self is in a constant state of war with your lower self or your earth self and all of that. And again, there's a lot of integration that needs to go on here. Integrating your whole being, understanding that you are mind, body, and soul, not just one or the other. So again, time and place, and also you can be a multitude of things at once, because you are a multitude of things at once. And your decision and commitment to committing to constantly trying to be better is the proof that you need, and that you need to acknowledge through yourself and for yourself and to yourself, that you're a good person. And that's not to say that you got to keep, like, it's like you keep trying to prove that, and it's already been proven. And it seems like it's coming out the backs of relating to people who are ego-driven to a fault, relating to dark energies to a fault. And you're needing to acknowledge that despite the fact that you have had vengeful thoughts, and despite the fact that you have had a multitude of circumstances that made you feel like smacking somebody, cussing them the fuck out, like I said, getting revenge on them in certain ways, you've had moments where you visualize and fantasize some dark things, but you still choose to function higher. Again, you choose to function higher. So even though you may have some things in common with people who are not so good, it doesn't mean that y'all are the same or that y'all share identity. Because just like you're choosing to be better, they are choosing to be worse. And you're needing to separate yourself from that worldly aspect of just being a victim of circumstances. And actively, y'all are being called to meditate more while saying positive affirmations to yourself, and also research affirmations that you can say to your shadow self as well. And some of you are going to need to do the thing where you look at yourself in the mirror every day and talk nice to yourself and acknowledge your flaws in the process and show love to your flaws. And that's going to be a form also of you calling back your energy energy and grace and chance after chance after chance that you give into people who are committed to being chaotic, you'll be calling back your energy to give back to yourself, someone who truly deserves it. For despite coming from circumstances that would give you every right and reason to be a trash ass person, you still making the effort to choose higher and function higher. Therefore, your shadow self deserves some extra love, and your higher self deserves more credit. And the sooner you start giving yourself more permission to give yourself more credit and more grace and attention, the sooner your blessings will start to come through, and or you start to get more aware and cognizant of blessings that you already have amongst you, which will then attract even more blessings. So as it's been said throughout the reading, y'all are y'all's own worst enemy. So it's like literally you that's been in the way, and you're having to call a peace treaty with yourself. You're literally having to call a peace treaty with yourself and stop over civilizing and hyper criticizing yourself in order to balance the scales out and attract the good things that you deserve and send all the other things back to their senders, you know? And now we get into the last card concerning what are y'all actually needing to forgive yourselves for. And while we acknowledge that all of these cards are in reverse, we also must acknowledge that that high priest or priestess card and the sun card looks a lot alike, don't they? The two beings in the cards are also having the same exact pose and stance. And the sun card is all about truths, revealing truths. It doesn't really have a negative meaning. The negative meaning that comes with it is more so about perception, how you perceive what is. So it's getting into how a lot of people want the truth, but not everybody can handle the truth, right? Because of how they're going to perceive what that means for their own lives. And what y'all are having to forgive yourselves for, and why the sun card is here in reverse, is having to do with y'all not allowing yourselves to accept certain truths that came out the first time. Okay, so for some people, something was revealed about someone or some people that you dealt with concerning a specific traumatic event, specific betrayal or whatever. And it's like y'all saw it building up and y'all ignored the red flags, things that you knew were not right. And you just like went along to get along and or decided to just let it play out and spill itself over. And you're having to forgive yourself for that. Others of you probably had some rash reactions to some truths being revealed at some point. And that came with a bunch of extra stuff. Like, so just for example, some beans could have been spilled to you concerning somebody cheating on you. And your reaction was to put pause on them and the person that they cheated with. And it's totally understandable as to why you would do something of the sort. But you ended up getting bammed up. You ended up getting arrested and having to pay fines and all types of stuff, dealing with the legalities and everything. A whole bunch of stuff ended up falling back on you. And you needed to forgive yourself for that. You needed to forgive yourself for having a human reaction that resulted in potentially some inhumane shit and just a whole lot of other stuff that you didn't bargain for. And for others, this is just literally consistently dealing with truths being revealed and your reaction to it beyond just accepting the truth and letting it guide you higher or guide you better in how to respond to it. Whatever your reaction was ended up facilitating growth of the fucked up shit from the situation, essentially. Whether you feel like you did too much or you didn't do enough as a result of it. And you need to forgive yourself for that. Others of you are needing to forgive yourself for it seeming like it's a part of your purpose. And so it's been a part of your pattern for a long time of being the person that is often saying and pointing out things that are true and that need to be talked about, but it's harsh truths, it's ugly truths that a lot of people don't want to hear. So you always being the person that notices it, points it out, confronts the conversations and all of that. People have often wanted to silence you and make you the enemy, and somewhere inside you, you may feel like it's your fault for running some people off or making them feel uncomfortable, making them want to retaliate against you in some way or whatever. And you need to forgive yourself for having the courage, honestly, to not only see tough truths, but to be able to point them out, deliver them, and communicate about them in order to bring about better. And as a result, you'll be able to give yourself more permission to use that superpower to contribute to your divine purpose, which has to do with revealing truths, things that people want to blind themselves from. And that being said, I'm hearing this is the weirdo group, and that's also why y'all's cards are all in reverse and why y'all also have the world card in reverse. And it's because y'all are meant to be weirdos. Y'all are meant to be different. Y'all are meant to be the black sheeps, the ones that are outside of the crowd, that don't do what everybody else do, that don't think the way everybody else think and function. Y'all are, I'm now hearing earth angel, will you be mine? So it's like y'all are earth angels, and that's why there's this kind of struggle. There has been a struggle between your higher and lower self in such a way, because your spirit knows that, quote unquote, you don't belong here. Like, of course, you belong here, and it's meant for you to be here, otherwise you wouldn't be. But your spirit is so divine, your spirit is so naturally high, that it makes it more difficult for you to get your footing on this plane and in this dimension. It's difficult for you to relate to, quote unquote, the masses. It's difficult for you to fit in with the everyday person because you're so different. You're weirdo. You're unique. You don't think like everybody. You're like an alien here. And you know that that's a good thing, but in certain ways you're resentful of it because it seems to put you at odds with everybody. And so you steady trying to figure out how to balance it out. And it's just coming up that that's something you need to forgive yourself for. Forgive yourself for being different so that you can honor your uniqueness and use that as your superpower, as well as the ways that you are able to relate to people. And the more you grasp an understanding of the value of that, the better you'll be able to help other people be able to decipher right and wrong. Because what's also coming up here is a need to pay attention to different things that have been coming up in the media, and where people are having to look at them and say, is this appropriate or inappropriate? Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this person justified in their actions, or are they not justified? And it's something that the lot of you have. It's some sort of purpose that the lot of you have in helping others understand and decipher the right and the wrong of things concerning, yes, these negative circumstances can reasonably make these types of people want to commit heinous acts, but it's not an excuse. It's not the end all be all. There it is. So yeah, separating what is understandable and what are explanations but are still not to be excused. I'm gonna say that again because spirit is spitting hot fire. So yes, a lot of you have a purpose in using your voice and using your third eye and your relationship with the divine realm to help other people gain greater understanding of things that are understandable and explainable, but not to be excused, which will play a large part in people gaining a greater understanding of accountability and how to hold other people accountable and how to hold themselves accountable. And also the difference between accountability and blame. And so you're having to learn that through and for yourself first so that you can help, I'm hearing the masses, but certain large groups of people have that understanding as well. Because it seems though a lot of you are playing a large role in evolving the frequency of Earth. And that's why you have this feeling and this being and this construct where it's like you have 1 foot in the earth realm and 1 foot in the divine realm, like all the time, so that you can relate to people, so that you can understand where the everyday person comes from, but also so that you don't fall victim to it, and so that you can still recognize and how to see the pathway out of it, how you can recognize higher responses and different responses and navigating to get out of it, to not be a victim of circumstance. And integrating all of that. So yeah, okay. I have milked this cow dry, honey, and I truly hope that all of that made sense, because sometimes child spirit be sending messages through that I don't really have the language for per se, and I just have to let God use me and speak through me like talking about. So I have to do a lot of that with this one, because this requires a lot of willingness to be evolved and therefore understand evolved language. And that's the duality of me, honey. In the midst of guiding others, I have to humble myself and allow myself to be guided all at the same time. And if you all need some elaboration and clarification on where you fall specifically in the midst of the messages that came through, what messages are specifically for you, if you just want deeper clarity and elaboration on all of it and what it means, feel free to hit me up on any of my social medias. You can even hit me up in the comments, and we go from there to set up your personal sesh concerning this particular topic. And with all that being said, child, if I do say so myself, honey, I have milked this cow dry, and I'm thoroughly appreciative for the exchange of vibes. And if you're feeling synchronized, please do me a divine design and like, share, and subscribe so that you can be one of the first to be back through these queenly quotas for the next time. And be sure to bless my comment section with your questions and conversations. And as always, I bid you in all ways light, love, healing, and liberation. Emphasis on liberation. Mwah.